This week's reading is full of information as we read the next 5 chapters in the book of Numbers. Our God had specific laws regarding various issues. Everyone was encouraged to be holy to the Lord. Otherwise, God could not bless the nation with victory. Chapter 5 spoke of an unusual law that protected the woman in a marriage, as well as sanctifying the marriage relationship. We have no laws today like that, but we have an all-seeing God to whom we will answer one day. Nazarite comes from a word that means to dedicate. Nazarites were men and women like Samson, John the Baptist, and Samuel, dedicated to the Lord, either for a brief period or for a lifetime. Their separation was twofold: one, to the Lord; two, from what defiled. The vow included 3 distinct restrictions. 1, abstain from wine; 2, you could not cut your hair; and 3, you could not touch a dead body. The purpose was to raise up a group of leaders devoted completely to God, and chapter 6 explains all of this. The longest chapter in the book of Numbers is 7, where it lists all the gifts and offerings given by the leaders of the 12 tribes. After the tabernacle was set up, anointed, and consecrated, these blessings were given for the service and maintenance. All of the people participated. It was everyone's tabernacle. The gifts were identical and presented on 12 successive days by the 12 tribes. And yet, in God's eyes, the gifts were individual. If what we give is from the heart, presented for God's glory, He sees it, and He will reward in His own time. Each of those 12 leaders was precious to God. After the blessings given to the tabernacle, Moses entered the tent of meeting to speak to the Lord, where he heard the Lord's voice between the 2 cherubim on the ark. God, our Father, gave Moses special instructions in regards to setting up the lampstands and setting apart the Levites. Imagine hearing the very voice of God. He is a God of order and considered the Levites as his gift to Aaron. They could not do all that the priests did, but they did have their tasks and were expected to fulfill them. We conclude the week with chapter 9, which includes the celebration of the second Passover. There were some circumstances that arose, but the standard of holiness was maintained. God singled out Israel for a special purpose, to be an example of how one nation could and should follow Him. They traveled and camped as God guided. His aim, however, was to have all people obey and worship Him. You are physically somewhere right now, and God has a purpose for you right now, exactly where you are. Look for direction by reading the Word of God. This week's Salt Shaker devotions are written by Jane and Jeannie, and they will help you find some meaning in each of the chapters. Remember, Biblical Shakers will make reading the Bible more enjoyable for you, and I pray that the Lord will put a hunger on your heart.